of why the Broncos will soon be leaving their stadium in downtown Denver.
Oh, Zach, why are you bringing this up? You know everybody gets all riled up when you talk about the Denver Broncos moving stadium.
I know. And I can promise you. Now, there are people who think like this. I am not one of them, where it's like, what can I say to make someone upset today? Like, no. Now, am I going to say stuff that not everyone's going to like? You're not supposed to like it. If you listen to someone share opinions for 4 straight hours, it would be very unusual to agree with everything that they say.
Like, I might agree with one thing every show that you say. The rest of it's in my head, and maybe I'll say it out there on the radio if it makes sense to disagree with you.
Sure.
And everybody always disagrees with me.
Well, it just depends on the issue, right? It just depends on the issue. And so people were upset with me yesterday for my hot take Tuesday.
Yes, I was upset with you. You know, it was Nico Medved.
Yes.
And how he should, or maybe Colorado should think of hiring Nico to be the head basketball coach at the University of Colorado.
Yes.
People don't like that.
And it was a hot take. It was
a spicy one.
They'll be okay. Nico's great at CSU. He's turned around 3 programs now. Someone's going to need, unless Tad's going to do it himself next year, turn around that Buffs program from this past year. And I say turn around. I mean, they were just in the NCAA tournament a year ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Yeah, relax now. Tad's the man for the job. He'll turn it around.
All right, we'll see. But here in this one, I think I am just sharing reality. Personally, Phil, if the stadium stayed downtown Denver for the next 30 years, okay, I'm not losing sleep over it. Like, I'd still go to games. It wouldn't be a reason why I wouldn't go to games. If they moved it out of downtown Denver, it wouldn't be a reason I wouldn't go.
Yeah, you're still going to go no matter what.
Yes. I didn't grow up here going to the games, so I don't have like this huge dog in the fight.
But there you go right there. Somebody like me thinks differently.
Yeah.
Because all I know is Colorado.
Sure.
Born and raised here, played high school football, college football, and I got to play with the Denver Broncos in that stadium.
Right.
You know, and so when people start to talk about moving the stadium, nobody likes change. Change can be uncomfortable.
Definitely.
But it's healthy. And as time goes on and you start to heal from the change and you agree to accept it, then you move on and it's better. You're better off that way. So if the Denver Broncos do decide to move stadiums, I'll be upset, but I'll get over it because I understand it's a business.
Right.
And I understand that I'm not the one that has to give up the money and fork up the money to keep the stadium running. To me, it holds a place in my heart because I'm born and raised here.
Totally. And you got to be a man in the arena. You were a gladiator in that arena. So I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day,
I'm gonna cut some of the grass out.
Yeah.
When they decide to move on.
And honestly, I'm sure they'll have a sell-off. I remember Yankee Stadium when they did the new Yankees. You talking about people being upset? I was doing this job back in New York, back in upstate New York, when they were changing Yankee Stadium.
I cannot even imagine, Zach.
Oh my gosh, Phil! They sold the urinals. They sold the seat backs. I'm telling you, people have the Yankee Stadium urinals.
I'm not taking the urinal
in their house. So I'm sure you could split up mile high. Really quick, I'm going to read this text message. It's got nothing to do with nothing, but I want to read it because I know it's going to get lost if I don't read it right now. He says, "Hey guys, this is Roberto from Greeley. I just want to say you guys keep me going every day. I recently got divorced and had some really hard days, and listening to you guys has kept me sane." Shout out, man.
Big time shout out.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us. And
it means a lot, man.
Flattering that we were able to play a small role in you going through that tough time. So here's what I wanted to talk about today. So we talked about this about a month and a half ago, something like that. But I saw a couple things that made me want to revisit it with you here today, Phil. So just to reset what we talked about maybe a month ago. In 2022, the Broncos set the record purchasing price for a North American sports franchise at $4.65 billion.
Billion with a B.
They've already increased it in value by another $1 billion. Okay? and still only rank as the 29th most valuable American sports franchise. Why? Because the valuation of franchises includes real estate holdings. That's why the Cowboys are first, right? Jerry's World, the first ever billion-dollar stadium.
That's his own. He owns it.
That's it. New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. That's a big piece of real estate, in the heart of New York City. Los Angeles Lakers with Crypto.com. This is why, Crypto.com Arena. This is why those names, Golden State similarly as well, they own the real estate that they build on, okay? And this part is so important because for decades and decades, teams' number one revenue streams were ticket sales, it was media rights, it was merchandise, it was sponsorships. But that's changing. And it's going into the real estate projects and districts that these sports teams are that they're pulling off, really. And the thing that made me want to have this conversation with you, Greg Penner is the richest owner in all of the NFL.
80 billion?
80, yeah.
$80 billion. What?
Just sounds insane.
It's sick.
Right? The gap, and I've said this many times before, but it bears repeating. The gap between number one and number two, which is Dave Tepper in Carolina, the gap is more money than Tepper is actually worth.
Oh, Tepper's mad right now. He's probably going to throw either a water bottle or tell somebody to get rid of Greg Penner.
Yes. But think about that. Like, it's not even close. That's the way it is in Major League Baseball, too. And this is why I just wanted to reset this conversation. Because according to Forbes, Steve Cohen is the MLB's richest owner, worth $21 billion. He made his money as a hedge fund manager, okay? The next wealthiest owner, according to Forbes, is Braves owner of that media group or whatever it's called, John Malone, at $11 billion, okay? So the gap between number one and number two in Major League Baseball is almost as much as number two is worth. So it's not the same as Greg Penner, but it's pretty darn similar.
That Greg Penner has $80 billion. Forbes has $21 billion. This is insane.
Forbes is reporting that Steve Cohen has $21 billion. Yes.
Cohen has $21 billion.
And that's number one in baseball. That's 1/4 of what Penner's worth. It's psychotic. But this is why I wanted to bring this up. It came out last month that the richest owner in baseball, Steve Cohen, is working on an $8 billion developmental district called the Metropolitan Park that would combine public parks with bars, restaurants, a casino, a sports book, a hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And they are going to build a $8 billion district all around Citi Field. So the district that they're going to build, it will be more valuable than the team is worth. The district that they're going to build is more valuable than the Denver Broncos, not even just the district. And he's modeling it after the Battery in Atlanta, which was finished in 2017 around their new ballpark. Phil, they did a district for $400 million, okay, in 2017. It's now open 365 days a year with retail shops, restaurants, and a hotel. It's completely funded by the Braves, all right, and now does an annual revenue. This is not game days.
Yeah.
It does an annual revenue of $50 million, just the district. The Braves own it. Where's the Battery located? It's not in downtown Atlanta anymore. They took it out of the city in 2017. They built a ballpark. They built a district. It's 10 miles north of Atlanta City proper. Steve Cohen watched what they did in Atlanta, loves it, and is now copied it, and is now doing it even bigger, better than maybe anyone. $8 billion district. That's what's coming to New York.
It's a great business move. It's a great business move. If you have all that money and you can afford to build your own stadium and everything around it, why would you not? And pocket the money, get more money, invest in your properties. this is what it's all about. Everybody hopes and wishes they can get a couple properties that they can own so that they can have more income coming in for their families. Well, that's what these owners are doing. That's what someone like Greg Penner will do. Because when you're worth $80 billion, you're not going to sit here paying rent for the rest of your life. When you can own your own land, build your own stadium,
right?
Put stores, hotels. If you want to put a casino here,
crazy,
you could do it.
Crazy.
So as much as like it hurts me that people are saying and talking that they're going to leave, that Denver Broncos are going to move stadiums and whatnot, it makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of business sense.
Yes, if I was Greg Penner, I would be thinking this as well.
Right. And so, like, the signs, we just have more signs. We just have more signs. And it's so relevant for someone like Steve Cohen because real estate holdings, they fall outside of Major League Baseball's revenue sharing agreement. So the Braves, every dollar that they make out of the Battery north of Atlanta, they get to keep every single penny. They don't share it with anyone. Not the real estate holdings. Not that. So it's one of these things where you have owners in the NFL already doing it. You have the richest owner in baseball, the way that Greg Penner is, but actually 1/4 of what Greg Penner's worth, doing it to a degree that no one else has ever seen, where you're going to have an $8 billion district. We've never heard of anything like that. You have the Cronkies are going to build a district around Ball Arena.
We talked about that already.
We did. You have a new stadium that was announced yesterday that's going to be a multi-used district. And then you have where the Broncos play on a parking lot where they pay rent to someone.
Like, make that make sense.
I continue to say, if you think the wealthiest owner in pro football that's worth $80 billion is going to continue to pay rent on someone else's slab of property, you are out of your mind. And I'm so sorry because I know it upsets people. I'm not saying it because this brings me joy. I'm saying it because the signs are obvious, guys. It's coming. So to the texter who says you move the stadium out of downtown where I've had tickets for 30 years, mine will become available. I won't go. I'm sorry. Like, seriously, I don't feel good about sharing this information.
And this is what we talked about earlier before we started this. It's like change. Change is uncomfortable. People, they don't like change, but it's something that has to happen. And you have to adjust. You have to adapt to what's going on. We got to see something like that firsthand at Gillette Stadium, Zach. Mm-hmm. When you and I decided to go to the Army-Navy game.
Yeah, Patriots place.
Patriots. All right, and it wasn't just a stadium, guys. It literally had a hotel. It had stores. It had bars. It had clubs. And so when you're looking around and say, okay, I got to get hip to the time, right? Like I can't let time pass me by. And that's what Greg Penner is probably thinking, right? New and improve. That's what you do. You're always trying to improve. And so if you move the stadium and Greg Penner moves the stadium and owns the stadium, he's going to make sure it's a great stadium. It's going to be a lot of different shopping malls. It's going to be food, hotels. It's going to be a fun site.
Yeah. So I'll read these text messages. And I agree with everything you just said, by the way, about change. It is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. And it already is. It already is. And I see, hey, they're the Denver Broncos, not the Aurora Broncos. Just look around, my man. It's not, again, we were in Foxborough. Foxborough is an hour from downtown Boston. The New York Giants, they don't even play in New York. They don't play in the state of New York.
The first time I realized that, I was driving to the game in the bus, and one of my teammates said that. I was like, "Wow, we're not playing the New York Jets. It should be the New Jersey Jets."
Yeah, it's crazy. So, they're not beholden to the actual downtown location of these places. And someone says, "Hey, it's going to be a giant waste of money if no one is on board and doesn't support the team anymore." I think you're crazy if you don't think that the line of season tickets at a brand new Palace. Yeah. See, that's the thing. When your only frame of reference is what it is, you don't know what the other side could potentially look and feel like. What that could look like leaving the game and seamlessly going to a bar or a steakhouse or a comedy club or a bowling alley right after or before the game, or using that space when there's not a game, when there hasn't been a game in 4 months, but you're still there because it's a great place to be.
Or a luxury to have the hotel right in front of the stadium, to where it's like, hey, you can use the hotel. You don't have to use a car.
Yeah.
You just get out of bed, rub your little eyes, walk out the door, go get a hamburger, and go to the stadium.
I mean, how cool is that?
That was really
They
cool
had a Hampton Inn 300 yards from Gillette. I mean, it was insane. So, like, again, I know it's going to make people uncomfortable, and it's going to make people upset, and I understand that. I'm trying to be, like, delicate with it as possible, but there's a reason we're talking about it today, and there's a reason that I've been emphasizing it this offseason, because, Phil, they signed a 10-year lease, and that was approximately 5 years ago. That means there's approximately 5 years left on the lease. And that means, and I am genuinely saying this, I believe we get the news this offseason that the Broncos are looking to build outside the Denver city proper.
Well, it needs to happen. You only have 5 years if you're Greg Penner to make this happen. You're not going to pay for another 5 to 10 year lease on a place you're not going to be at for very long. So I'm with you, Zach. If this is going to happen, which I believe will happen, it's coming out during camp, maybe right before the season starts, but it's coming out.
It's coming out. I do think it's this offseason because
it's coming out. Greg Penner wants the world to know.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And you know, someone else saying, hey, the San Francisco 49ers play closer to San Jose than they do San Francisco. And like that, I don't think that'll be a reason why the Broncos ownership group do or don't make a 30-year-long business decision. I just don't think that's going to be a good enough reason. So, and when you build a stadium and you start putting shovels in the ground, it takes approximately 3 to 5 years to get that stadium done. So that's why I believe with approximately 5 years left on the lease, we are going to get some piece of news. It's going to fall out of the sky from someone like Mike Kliss that the Denver Broncos have just bought a plot of land in Lone Tree or out by the air. I don't know.
Somewhere where there's a lot of space, guys.
Yes.
And you know what? It starts like it's like a domino effect. You need one domino to fall. It starts with the facility that Greg Penner is building right now. Right? Upgrading the facility for his team, for the coaching staff, for himself. He's not stopping just there. That's the start.
I agree. And by the way, their setup over there was solid. It was already on the newer side. It was already in the last 10, 15 years that was built, but it wasn't good enough for them. So that I like that you pointed that out because that's kind of like a microcosm of their thought process potentially. Like this is solid, but it's not elite, and we want to be elite at everything, and we have the resources to do what others can't.
And it's like, where do you start? You take care of your team first. You take care of your team. You get them all settled, and then you branch out and start working on what really matters to you, what you're investing in, and that's a plot of land and building a stadium that you can call your own. I wonder what he would call it. You know, you got Jerry's World.
Yeah.
What
they
would
have
it be considered?
The Milwaukee Bucks have the Deer District.
Okay.
The what we just say, the Atlanta Braves have the Battery. It would have a name. I don't know. I don't know, but it would have a name. They would own the land. Then they would rent out all the retail space. Guys, come on. I mean, it
makes sense.
It makes too much sense.
This is a business deal. He's a businessman. He's all about making money and making sure that he keeps his money.
Yeah.
You don't just fall into $80 billion.
Right.
You work up for that. You got to start somewhere. Start with my penny.
Someone says in terms of the guy that said, I'll give up my tickets if they move I've had season tickets for 30 years. Someone can have mine. I won't go to the games anymore. Someone says there's a 20-year wait list. Let him give up those tickets. I'm buying them, and I live in Texas, LOL. Like, there's a long line. There's a long line of people who would want those tickets.
And here's the deal. The Denver Broncos are getting better. We were in the playoffs this year, a 10-win year.
Yep.
With a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
They're getting better. You have the coach. You have the quarterback. You have the owner that believes and trusts his staff. This is going to be a success. Greg Penner is doing all the right things at the right time. Like Shador likes to say, perfect timing.
Oh, Lord. You're already threw out the name. Like, hey, what would the name be? You're already getting names. You're already getting names. Someone says Sam's Clubhouse, right? Sort of like a play on Sam's Club,
Yeah.
which is part Walmart. Someone says Wally's World,
Wally's World.
the Mile High District. They could call it the stables for horses.
Yeah.
I
like something with the horse, right? You're the damn Denver Broncos.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. Atlanta built that stadium. I'm talking about the Atlanta Braves, the stadium with the district. Guess where the All-Star game's going this year? They're going to Atlanta. You build this the way that we've been talking about for a while. The Final Four will be here. WrestleMania will come here.
You're saying all this because of the retractable roof.
I do believe.
I'm assuming. All right, now.
If they're going to do it and you have the resources to do it, why wouldn't you have the best of both and have a retractable roof?
I agree. Even as a player, like, look, it looks great on TV to see the players out there running around in the cold, in the snow. But for players, you just want to be warm. You want to be comfortable, and you want to just be able to focus on playing the game, not focus on slipping and holding on to the football because it's wet.
Yeah.
So the retractable roof is a must.
I agree. Get the best of both. And you get to make the decision when that puppy's open or not, right? Someone else says, I've been waiting for season tickets for the Broncos for 19 years, and I'm still approximately 6 years away. So if you think that there's going to be no more interest in the Broncos because everyone's going to be up in arms because it's not in downtown anymore, the games are going to kick off. The stadium will be filled. The line for season tickets will be all around that district 10, 12 different times. So, again...
Fun story real fast, Zach. We're playing the Colts. Jim Irsay's the owner. So, over there in Indianapolis, I'm not sure that the roof is retractable. It might be, but the windows are. The windows can come out. And so, it was a cold day here in Denver, and everybody was excited. It's like, hey, look, we're playing in the dome. We're playing inside. So, you're like, we don't have to worry about the weather. You know, we get there, and it's cold, it's rainy, kind of snowing too. And Jim Irsay, who I played for, he gets to decide, because he's the owner, when the retractable roof or windows come out. And he only does it, I think, once or twice a year.
Okay.
For some odd reason, I don't know why.
Okay.
He decided to do it for our game, for no reason, just because he wanted the windows to be open in the cold. I mean, when I tell you all the players in there were pissed off, everybody was pissed off because we're like, we finally got to get out of the cold, and now we're still here in the cold, playing on the turf. It's just a funny story because it's like you as an owner, you get to decide when you want to open the roof or not. Yeah.
Well, if you're the owner of your home, right, you decide when you open up the windows, let some air in. I mean, it's a big conversation, and my guess is, and I am just guessing, that this is not sourced or anything, at some point this offseason, we get a huge clue, a huge domino that falls in this conversation. So time will tell. But the clue